Nigeria is a country that is richly blessed in human and natural resources. Sadly, for some time, our economy has been rather on a shaky note. But of course, we have some eggheads who are trying their best to ensure that the Nigerian economy remains stable. Today, I am here live and direct in Arochukwu local government area of Abia State, Southeast Nigeria, to meet a guest as I welcome you to another beautiful time on Executive Discourse. My name is Ololade Adeniji Adele. I'm sure you're wondering what has brought me all the way to the Southeast. Well, let's find out who my guest is today on the show. Hello, sir. How are you? Good to see you.
Very well, and you?
I'm very well, thank you.
You're
Good
welcome.
to see you. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Once again, viewers, we welcome you to Executive Discuss, coming to you on the network service of the NTA. To an extent, I'm sure that your curiosity has been partly satisfied. But, to shed more light on this, my guest today on the program is a banker, he's an economist, he's a man who has his hands in a lot of pies. He is a philanthropist, and, he is a man that has touched lives at various levels. We are here in his home in Arochukwu in Abia State, Southeast Nigeria, and he is the Ugwabia. Please join me as we welcome to the show today, Dr. Alex Otti, OFR. Hello, sir. How are you once again?
I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you, too.
You're welcome.
"24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
Now, for the purpose of setting the tone for this interview, it is important that our viewers get to meet you, get to know you, and understand who you are. Tell us about yourself, where you were born, what schools you attended, and how your early years were.
Okay, thank you very much. Like you rightly introduced me, my name is Alex Otti. I was born in Abia State here, in Aba to be precise, more than 5 decades ago.
Yes.
And I started primary and secondary school also in Abia. My secondary school was at Ungwa High School in Aba. I proceeded to the University of Port Harcourt, where I read economics. Graduated in 1988. I proceeded for youth service in Lagos. After the 1-year mandatory service in Citibank, Nigeria, I was retained, and I started my banking career in 1989. Somewhere in between, I had to do an MBA, an executive MBA at University of Lagos, combining it with my work. And from Citibank, I went to the then Intercontinental Merchant Bank, which became Intercontinental Bank, and which subsequently was acquired by Access Bank. And from Intercontinental, I went to a small bank as the treasurer then, Société Bancaire. It was a French bank. The bank is no more due to consolidation. It was, I think it merged with some other banks.
Okay.
And then from there I went to UBA. I worked in UBA for quite some time, rising to the position of Assistant General Manager. And then I was headhunted by First Bank. I spent about 10 years in First Bank, rising from the position of Assistant General Manager to Deputy General Manager and Executive Director. And by 2011, I joined Diamond Bank as the Managing Director and CEO, and a job I did for about 4 years before I voluntarily retired from banking for another career in politics. But while we were there, my team particularly, and I did a lot of work in transforming the bank and making it what it used to be at that time. So from 2014, I joined politics, contested election in Abia for governorship in 2015, contested again in 2019, and I'm still within the political circle. I have also been involved in a lot of philanthropic activities, trying to impact people. I set up a foundation which every year awards scholarships to indigent students from Abia State.
Okay.
The process is on as we speak for this session. And last year we awarded scholarship to 31 students.
Wow.
In different universities, studying different courses, including medicine. And once you benefit from the scholarship, once you maintain a minimum level, CGPA level, you continue on that scholarship until you graduate.
Fantastic.
I also spend time reading and writing. I maintain a column, back page of This Day, titled Outside the Box. I've been doing that in the last 4 to 5 years, and it is a fortnightly column where I discuss economics, I discuss politics, I discuss technology, I discuss social institutions and governance. I also sit on the editorial board of This Day. And I'm someone interested in education. And I have had the good fortune of sitting on the governing council of 2 Nigerian institutions where, with other members of the governing council, we try to make a difference. I believe that's all about me for now.
For now, yes. Now, something struck me when you were talking. You studied economics. And I'm wondering, no pun intended here, but we know that our Eastern brothers and sisters are very much business oriented. And I'm wondering, what was it that influenced the study of economics?
Good question. Can I remember? I had always loved economics. And that was at that time. And but as time went on, and by the time I graduated, getting into the real world, it had become clearer to me that without an understanding, basic understanding of economics, you really cannot run institutions. You can't run government very well.
Okay.
A lot of the problems we have in Nigeria is because people fail to understand or refused to implement what they understand about economics. And it's simply the allocation of scarce resources. How do you do it in a most efficient and effective manner? That's the study of economics. And when you are talking about governance, it's all about allocation of resources. And if you have to do a road, and you do a bridge, and you have to put pipe-borne water for people and give them health care, and also build schools, and you don't have the money to do everything. So which one comes first?
Yes, which one goes first? How do you
and how do you create money to achieve most of those goals? So you have to look at them to say, which one comes first? It's about the scale of preference. So do I do schools first? Or do I do hospitals first? Because if you don't do hospitals, people... or do you do pipe-borne water? Maybe pipe-borne water, because if they don't have good water to drink, then they will be sick. I think it's important, and you don't need to have a degree in economics, but you need to have a basic understanding of economics if you want to run institutions very well.
Now, in running institutions very well, you've been around the banking industry for so long. I mean, you've traversed quite some major banking institutions in Nigeria, and you decided to end it up at Diamond Bank. At the time you were in banking, I know that somehow, directly or indirectly, you might still be in banking, having been involved, at such a high level. But looking at banking institutions in Nigeria today and looking at the Nigerian economy, what's your take on our operations of the banking sector?
Well, just like every other sector, things keep changing and evolving. So the way we did things yesterday
and not the way
not necessarily the way we do them today. Like everybody is talking about digital banking.
Yes.
Everybody are talking about fintechs and all that. Even though when I was active in banking, mention of digital banking was being made, but I'm not at the level where it is today. So technology has made things move at the speed of light. And so you find that the things we used to do at that time are no longer the way they are done today. If you jump into the bank and you think because you were a banker 10 years ago or 5 years ago, that
you can fit in seamlessly today,
then you will be deceiving yourself.
Wow.
So a lot of things have changed. But there's also some parable or some word that somebody uses all the time. They say the more things change, the more they remain the same.
Exactly.
So it's still basically the function of keeping money and giving it out. So anyhow you do it, banking is about taking money from areas of surplus and deploying it to areas of need. I think a lot have changed. I think a lot will still change. The coronavirus pandemic also engendered a lot of changes. And people have realized that they don't actually need to be physically in the office, to work. So I know a lot of banks today that have a lot of their staff working from home and still delivering results. So the big offices that were the hallmark of banking in those days will soon disappear. Because you will find that you don't need all the people, you don't need all the structures, you don't need all the money spent on having big banks.
But that might also mean people losing their jobs, some losing their jobs.
It is interesting because every phase of development leads to changes. It displaces one thing and replaces
it
another.
with another.
But you know, the way the human mind works is such that as revolutions in industry, as changes happen, the mind is able to create more and more jobs. It may not be the jobs the way they were before now. But then more developments will also require more people to work
in other
in
areas.
other areas. Now, so what is important is the skills. If you don't have this skill set that you require to get to the bank, begin to count money physically and all that. And today that you just punch your phone and then remit money to somebody in the US. So you find that that teller may no longer be required. But then people who are in IT, who will ensure that the system is up, who will ensure that the transmission happens and all that.
Apps are, invented and all that.
Yes. So more jobs are created for them. And we must anticipate these changes. We must be prepared for these changes because they will happen, whether we like it or not. So we are talking of digital currency today.
Yes.
And I believe that in 20 years or 30 years time, it will be something else we are talking about. And we must be prepared for that change.
For that change, because it's the only constant thing in life. Still talking about banking and the Nigerian economy, you said something earlier about what it takes to run an economy, to really understand how to prioritize. Looking at Nigeria, the Nigerian economy, where we have found ourselves today, the huge dependence on oil, and now with this present administration doing its best to see that we move away from our dependence on oil to other sectors like agriculture. How have we fared? How are we faring?
Yes, that's an important question. And I think it goes to the heart of the challenges we are facing as a country. Oil has remained the mainstay of our economy. And even at this moment, oil accounts for over 90% of our foreign exchange earnings. And I know that in the past, successive governments have made efforts to diversify the economy. But those efforts have remained platitudes because they've not translated into results. And until we do something drastic, we are going to remain there. Another major risk is oil becoming less and less important to the world economy. I'm sure you know that today, many countries in Europe, North America, and Asia have set a deadline for for hydrocarbon-fired vehicles to be extinguished in the economies. Elon Musk, who is the president and CEO of Tesla, has become more and more important in the world economy today because his company has revolutionized electric vehicles. And what that means is that our oil will become less and less important. And think of it. He said that an electric vehicle has only 20 parts, when a hydrocarbon-fired vehicle has about 2,000 parts.
When you look at the two together,
darkness and daylight. Again, don't forget that this economy used to run in the 60s without oil.
Yes.
And at that time, our leaders concentrated on agriculture. So the present government is doing a lot, but it has not translated to so much in terms of results, and we need to do a whole lot more. For so many reasons. I was reading somewhere where someone said that Nigeria is not only the world poverty capital. Of course, you know that about 90 million of our people
Yes.
live below the poverty line of less than $1.90 per day. And that translates to about 44-45% of our population. But we're also the capital for unemployment. According to statistics recently released by the National Bureau of Statistics, I think over 33% of our people are unemployed. And you know the way it's calculated is those who are willing and able to work, those who are actively searching for work. So 1 in 3 people are unemployed. And that's a recipe for disaster. Agriculture naturally produces food and keeps people engaged.
Yes.
When you look at the numbers, it may not be that profitable. I mean, given that it's seasonal, but then the government has a lot of role to play in ensuring that our people go back to the farms. And we now begin to see agriculture as a business. I believe that we are in the right direction, but the pace is too slow, and we need to attack it as an emergency.
Attack it as an emergency. Well, I know that we have talked so much about your years in banking and as an economist. You actually worked with quite some people while you were in service, although you're still in service as well, but on another level. So why don't we just take a pause here to meet 1 or 2 persons that Dr. Alex Otti worked with while in the banking sector, people whom he interacted with, for them to tell us on that level, who exactly is this man that I'm honored to be sitting here with. Let's get to meet 1 or 2 persons who have worked with Dr. Alex Otti.
You're talking of someone with very high intellect, first-class graduate, valedictorian, best graduating student in his own set in Uniport then too. And he brings all this to bear in the work he does. He's a perfectionist, stickler for excellence, and doesn't tolerate mediocre performance in any way at all. So if you really want to be in good standing with him, then you must be on top of your game.
He's a born leader. He's a man who gets things done. And in this our society where things hardly get done, that is a huge, huge factor. Alex is somebody who gets results, who is always focused on results and who gets them. And for me, that's what the society needs. And it has proven results. There are indications or indicators, facts, to show that this is a man who hates failure and who ensures that he makes the best of every situation to achieve whatever mandate is given to him.
Indeed, a man who has no time for excuses. He wants to get his job done when and as at when, the time required. That is the man, Dr. Alex Otti, well, on that level as a banker and as an economist. Back to you now, Dr. Alex Otti. I know that you have gone into other areas. I mean, politics is one. It's very, very key right now. What influenced your decision to go into politics?
When I looked at the state from where I come,
which is Abia.
I felt that things were not going in the right direction. And anyhow you flip and dice it, every institution, every state every economy, every nation succeeds or fails on the altar of leadership. And I felt that it was time for me to leave banking and go into the service of a wider community of people. And where else to start it than from where I come, which was at that time and still at this time struggling with leadership. Of course, there were other things that I could have done. Maybe supported some people or somebody to do it, or joined a political party to influence what was happening. But I felt that that was not the most effective way to handle it. And I also do know that there is a philosopher, I believe it's Plato, who said that if able people, smart and intelligent people keep away from politics, that they take away their rights to complain when fools begin to rule them. So it was a big sacrifice, but I thought I should make it. And even though we are not where we intended to be, but we have made a lot of changes.
So you retired voluntarily, basically to go into politics?
Absolutely.
Wow. So you have run twice now on the APGA platform. At these two times, for one reason or the other, you were denied the opportunity to rule your state, and you want to try again a third time. Why?
Okay, let me say that I have not made this decision to contest again, but these are still early days. We still have a clear 2 years before 2023. And as time goes on, the decision will be made. I may decide to contest or also decide to yield to somebody else to contest. But when we get to the river, we'll cross it. But it is very correct that I had contested twice. In those two times that I contested, it is very clear that we won the election, but they were stolen. It's just to demonstrate the imperfections and in our electoral system. So it's unfortunate that the Supreme Court will rely on technicalities like they did in my matter in 2016, where the Court of Appeal had clearly declared me winner of the election and declared me governor of the state. But it was reversed by the Supreme Court on the basis of technicality. What did they say? They said, well, yes, we see all the evidence, but then the Electoral Act is not did not specifically mention card reader. And so relying on card reader will not work. So my question is, all the elections that have been conducted since 2015
They've been with the
were
card
done
reader.
with card reader. So it means even the presidential elections, the governorship, all of them are invalid. But then that is how sad it can be. So one of the things that I expect that should happen very quickly is that the president would sign the amendment to the Electoral Act once it's sent to him by the National Assembly. And it is only when that happens that we'll begin to see a semblance of free and fair elections. It will no longer be useful to begin to thumbprint, carry ballot papers, and then beat up people and all that, because as you are voting, the result is being transmitted electronically. So there won't be any need for violence.
Okay, now before you go further, we caught up with you last night where we still talked about, elections, politics in Nigeria. coming from the perspective of how we saw you relating with your people. So why don't we just see our interactions with you last night? You know, Dr. Alex Otti, a very busy man, especially when he comes home like this. But we're really intrigued seeing him, you know, with his people. And I just had to sit down with him to have a chat still on politics. Let's see that. The program is still Executive Discourse, coming to you on the network service of the NTA. And we are still live at the home of the former Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Diamond Bank, of course, an economist, a banker, true and true. Well, he's into other things now, but for the purpose of this discussion, we will continue with him right here in his home at Arochukwu in Abia State, talking about Dr. Alex Otti. Doctor, I see something, I've observed something. Having been here with you, I see that well, maybe it will be right for me to call you a man of the people, because all day we've had people coming in and going out. In fact, you've been so busy that this is just the time we're having for this conversation this evening.
Yes.
So what is it about you and your people?
Well, thank you very much. Sometimes I don't even observe it. You just wake up in the morning and people are here to see you. You have to see them, of course. One, because I don't live here, so I come from time to time. And then a lot of other people don't also live here. So we find it as a good time to connect, to discuss the community, to discuss other issues. Man of the people, maybe, yeah, we should be people's people. So because these are people we are affiliated with one way or the other, people we grew up with, people we went to school with, and people that we even do business with. One of my brothers was saying that in Lagos, where both of us live, that we can hardly find 1 hour to sit down.
To spend time together.
Exactly. That when we come home, we can spend 3 hours in a day or 4. So we take time to stay with each other, share each other's concerns, also think about the community, what is the next thing to do for the community. For several decades, the community was struggling to build a befitting civic center. And I believe that was in 2017 when we had the Arrow Day, which happens every December 26th.
Okay.
And I made a pronouncement that in 1 year we would deliver the civic center, which had taken about 3 decades for them to do. And I rallied around all our people, and they responded positively. And in exactly 1 year, we delivered this.
Oh, fantastic.
And it was a good project. Our people loved what we did. And I just believe that getting together keeps us together, and we're able to share our concerns and our challenges together, provide solutions to them together. And that's what it is.
That's what it is. Yes, that was the bit of the discussion we had last night. Dr. Alex Otti is truly a man who is loved by his people. If you look at the rate at which, you know, he receives his people in his home on a daily basis anytime he's here. Dr. Alex Otti is a busy man. Even though you have retired from the bank, you have found yourself busy with your hands in a lot of pies. And one is that you write. Now I wonder, what informs the topics you take on? What gives you the ideas for some of these write-ups and even your books?
Okay. I write on any and everything. Some topical issues, mostly weighing in on governance and the economy. I've written about debt, which I still have a lot of passion. And I believe that we can do better with management of our debt. Yes. But I had also written an article that I titled, "Your revenues are not too low, your cost is too high." So your cost must always be matched against your revenue. Now, if you run a deficit every year, then you are off for liquidation if you were a company.
Yes.
But we're a nation and we should operate like a company too.
I just want to take you up on something you said now about, the cost being too high. And it brings me to complaints that have come from different quarters that are the cost at which we run governance in Nigeria is astronomical. From the perspective of an economist, do you also hold this school of thought? And if you do, how, for you in politics and hoping to lead the people, how can we run government economically?
You see, we operate as if we are in a normal situation.
As if we have unlimited resources.
Exactly. Even the structure of governance in Nigeria is such that it's not sustainable. Just come to think of it. You have a presidency. Under that, you have the vice president, the chief of staff, and all the ministers, all the SAs, the cabinet, the special assistants, the special advisors,
the senior special assistants, and all.
Uncountable. So first of all, when people are discussing restructuring, I think the heart of that discussion should be how to reduce the bogus government that we have. We can afford a president, probably a vice president. We'll probably be able to afford a National Assembly, but unicameral.
Yes.
Unicameral National Assembly. Can keep the Senate of 100 people, and then the others, you do away with them. And quite frankly, I don't believe that we need 36 states. No, we don't. If you ask me, I will go for the 6 geopolitical zones, and each of them will have a governor.
Okay.
And you do away with the houses of assembly, do away with the commissioners and all that. There are countries that are not even divided into states.
Yes.
You just have the president and there are no governors. Okay? So yes, this is a big country. But then as a big country, we shouldn't have more than 6 states. And then when you do that, you will be amazed at how much savings that you realize. Even countries that are developed are looking for ways to cut costs.
Cut down their costs, especially even with the COVID-19 pandemic.
With the COVID-19, it presents us with great opportunities. Everybody doesn't need to assemble in the National Assembly. Today, you have board meetings via Zoom and Microsoft Teams. Yes, so why can't you have National Assembly proceedings via Zoom? So people sit in their place, in their areas of residence and don't go to pick up houses in Abuja. Why should we even have a National Assembly that is paid? Elsewhere, it should be people who have achieved, who want to serve.
Yes, should be service to the people.
Yes. But again, because of the politics of our climate, where majority of the people don't have any other thing to do, so their job is politics. Politics is not a job.
Politics is not a job. And, well, maybe I should just take you slightly away from politics, because I'm sure that politics and other things keep you very busy as an individual. How do you have time for the family, the home front?
Well, I've always said that it is not so much about the size. It's about the quality. So I may not have so much of the time, but anytime I devote to family is quality time.
Okay.
Luckily, don't have a very large family. I have 3 children and 1 wife. So, and we organize ourselves in such a way that we always have time for everything that we want to do. The children are in different places, but we get to speak by Zoom every week.
Okay.
Anywhere you are, you must dial in at a particular time, and we discuss family issues. So my own verdict is that I have sufficient time for the family, and I devote such time to the family. Maybe when you hear from the family, then
exactly my point, because we've heard your own verdict, your own version
yes.
here. But
Yes.
I think it's important we meet the members of the Otti family, the Alex Otti family, talking about his wife and children to actually find out really how much time he has for them.
Alex Otti is first and foremost, I would say, God-fearing, kind-hearted, and hard worker, and more of a people's person. He can be very, very trusting. You know, when he's your friend, he can go all out, regardless of whatever he sees. Even when people betray him, for some people, you may not be able to take, betrayers lightly. They may just, but sometimes he knows how to handle it very maturely. It can be very tough to me sometimes to a fault, when he wants to make a point. Whereas I would want to ensure that, the children are carried along and they are happy, so to say, with whatever decision. But when he wants to take a decision, sometimes I feel it's too hard, even on the children and even sometimes his siblings. I guess sometimes he goes back, thinks about it, and then maybe later changes his mind on his approach, yes.
I would say he's a confident, intelligent, and assertive person. He's very knowledgeable. He knows what he wants, and yeah, I would say he's just all around an intelligent person, and he means well for everyone. He already sets the standard for me in terms of he's a go-getter himself. So whenever I see him, it just motivates me. So growing up, as I would see his achievements and everything, all it would do is just motivate me to try harder at everything. The saying that they have is, people say the sky is the limit, but to him, the sky is just the starting point. And I think what drives him is just knowing that it's not impossible.
He enjoys interacting with people, so he's pretty sociable, pretty likable. He has a lot of friends, and he enjoys spending time with friends. So he enjoys going for like events and activities. He's also very disciplined and very focused on his work, and just a man of integrity for me. He always made sure that we were honest, we were never lying, we were always focused on working hard and achieving our goals. His gift-giving heart, and also his drive for knowledge in terms of reading and just exposing yourself by traveling.
He's very supportive, and I would say that he leads by example. He's very open-minded, and he's very good at connecting to people and understanding people.
To me, generally, I see him as a very hardworking and smart individual, and someone that is very consistent and persistent. And he always tries to tell us, if you set your mind on anything, you achieve it. So I see him as someone who is very consistent and persistent in things he wants to achieve.
First of all, he's a professional, nice guy, cerebral, intelligent, and of course he cracks a lot of jokes. A lot of people don't seem to know that aspect of his life, but very jovial person. I mean, if you in very close contact with him. Most times people tend to see more of his professional side than his emotional side, because he's also a very serious-minded person.
Yes, that was the family of Dr. Alex Otti. You've heard from them. But you know what I actually liked in all of it? What Madame said, that there are times she feels is actually too tough.
Exactly.
Yes, that's what she said, that there are times she feels you're too strict.
Yeah, really?
Well, that's us women. Now, returning to our conversations, I know that in the course of your career, in the course of life, you have met all sorts of people. And for you, from what I've been able to deduce from these conversations, people development, human development is key. It holds a pride of place in your heart. And I'm wondering, why is this so? Does this have anything to do with maybe your upbringing, or why are you so passionate about, developing humans and the people?
Well, the human starts by understanding that every society, every institution is only as good as its people. So if you have an institution that is doing well, go look at the people. And so in my previous life as a banker, I paid a lot of attention to developing people. The benefits you continue reaping ad infinitum when you train your people well. When I got to Diamond Bank, I realized that to be the best bank, that I needed to have the best people.
Okay.
And people who are confident, who are well trained, who are skilled, they will always do well.
Yes.
So I have always known that. And that's why I pay a lot of attention to human development in everything I do up to today. I make it possible for people around me to also keep learning. I learn from them, they learn from me.
That's good.
And the world will be a better place when people have knowledge.
Now, I'm sure that as part of learning, yes, you're from Arochukwu, I know that. But I know that you also lay claim to another place where, for one reason or the other, you spent quite a huge part of your life. That's the Ishialangwa community. And I'm wondering, how do these merge together? Because you seriously, I must say, lay claim to Ishialangwa as well. And a lot of, your story in life cannot be written without Ishialangwa.
Well, first of all, Arochukwu people are known to have 2 villages.
Ah.
Yes.
Okay.
For the simple reason that our great-grandfathers, they moved out from Arochukwu centuries ago and established their homes outside Arochukwu. My own forefathers did the same and established in Umehim, in Isialangwa South local government. I can tell you without any fear of contradiction that that's where I also come from. Because I was born there, my father was born there, my grandfather was born there.
Wow.
And grew up there, went to school there. My father died there, never visited Arochukwu in his lifetime.
He never did?
Never did. I was buried there. My mother was buried there. My grandfather was buried there. To answer your question directly, yes, I come from that place as much as I come from here. And I grew up there. I am treated as a son of the soil. And I treat other people there as my brothers, and they treat me as their brothers, and that's it. But when you go into the political realm, discussions,
that's where the discussion goes that way.
But I don't pay attention to that because that's not the kind of discussion I want to hold.
Exactly, exactly. And you being a very busy man, I know that one question I keep asking myself, and which I would ask you now: how do you relax, Dr. Alex Otti?
I'm relaxing here.
Yeah, right. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Except if it's work you wanted to give me, but this one is relaxation. No, I do. I find time to relax. I may be doing things others may not be doing with relaxation. I may be reading a book as a relaxation. I always have a book I'm reading all the time. I try to read a chapter of a book every day.
Good.
And I also do some exercise. I use the gym a lot, at least every other day where possible. I also listen to music. So while
do you dance with the music you listen to?
I don't know what you call dance. If I'm on the
whatever form of movement.
If I'm on the treadmill and the music is blasting, is that dancing?
That might be your own understanding of dance.
Of dance, yes. But I'm not sure I'm a great dancer, but I can move my body.
Okay.
And I enjoy a lot of Nigerian music and musicians. One of my favorites is Davido. And then I love Flavor.
Flavor Nabanya.
Yes, it's my son too, just like Davido.
Yes.
And I know them, and I try to encourage them. So I find time to relax. It may not be, again, a lot of time, but when I call it relaxation time, it's relaxation time. And I make the best use of that time.
Fantastic. As we take this conversation on a home run now, because it's important, we've talked about human development, which is key. We've also talked about the Nigerian economy and us as a people. I want you to look at the camera and speak to the consciousness of Nigerians on what we need to do to move forward as a people.
Well, Nigeria is a country that is blessed. And we are blessed with human resources, we are blessed with natural resources, material, just name it. I'm not too sure there are many countries that are like Nigeria. The only place we have a problem is with ourselves. And people tend to manipulate our fault lines. Religion, ethnicity, and things along those lines to further their own selfish interests. I want us to know that we are one and the same people, created by the same God. And anytime we are doing things to hurt each other or to hurt our fellow countrymen, we are going against the will of God for Nigeria. We should seek justice, we should seek equity, we should put ourselves in the place of our compatriots. We should ask ourselves the way we are treating our compatriots, if we are treated that way, would we like it? I believe that this country can go places. I believe that this country can be a first world if we get our leadership right, if we're honest to ourselves, if we eschew corruption, violence, banditry, kidnapping, killing each other. Because at the end of the day, we're also going to answer to God what we did while we were here. So I want to plead with our people to see each other as brothers and sisters. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Alex Otti. I mean, you've really spoken to the consciousness of Nigerians, and you couldn't have, said it better.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having been a part of the show today. I've really had a swell time with you here and, of course, in Arochukwu here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My guests couldn't have said it any better than he has. Nigeria is indeed a nation that is blessed, as I told you right at the beginning of the show, both human and natural resources. And we must harness these resources for us to remain one indivisible entity and for us to forge ahead in life. That's the size of our package of Executive Discourse for this week, coming to you from Arochukwu in Abia State, Southeast Nigeria. If indeed you have had time with us on this program, why don't you join us again, same time, same station next week for another lovely package, all on the network service of the NTA. Till then, I remain Ololade Adeniji Adele. See you around. Bye-bye.